Today we're going to be making 60-day dry aged brisket pastrami. Hi, this is Dave from Hector's Smokehouse and welcome back to the channel. If you're a first time visitor, welcome on board. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to the channel. Also hit that notification bell in the bottom and every time a new video comes up, you'll get an email. So today I'm going to be smoking a 60-day dry aged Wagyu brisket, just the actual flat of the brisket. And previously on another video that I did, I actually went through the process of separating a point from a flat on a brisket and also went through the whole process of making a pastrami from a brisket. So what I'm going to do is, if you want to have a look at the video for separating a point from a flat, just click up, there's a link coming up at the top you should be able to see. Click that link and you'll be able to watch the video of how to separate the point from the flat, because all I'm going to be doing is using the actual flat today. Then what I did in another previous video, I went through the whole pickling process and the curing of a brisket to turn it into pastrami. So if you want to go through and look at the recipe for doing the pickling mix, all the spices, how to make the brine and what to do with that, again, click the video up above. You should see a link there now and you'll be able to actually watch everything that goes into pickling and curing a brisket for pastrami. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take a 60-day aged Wagyu brisket. It's been in the Dry Ager DX1000 for 60 days. So what I'm going to go through is I will be taking off the pellicle. So I'll maybe show you some short clips of removing the pellicle, and I'll show you the after effects after I've separated the point from the point from the flat, so you'll be able to actually see what the flat looks like. And then through this video, what I'll go through is the smoking process to actually smoke it, and then we'll go through and see what it tastes like. I'm really unsure how this is going to turn out. I'm not sure whether this is going to turn into an epic fail. I think there's probably a good chance it could do, but I want to give it a go because the pastrami last time I did it was mind-blowingly good. I was so impressed with this brisket pastrami recipe. It was unbelievable. So I'm hoping this is going to be next level, but I think also there's a really good chance that it could be an epic fail and could be absolutely foul. So I don't really know which way this is going to turn out, so it's a bit of an experiment today. So hopefully you enjoy the video, so let's get on with it now. So I ended up removing the pellicle off the Wagyu brisket, and it took a lot of pellicle off there. You can actually see the waste, and there was an extreme amount of waste came off there. This is a 60-day aged brisket, so the pellicle was reasonably thick, but I've managed to tidy it up. So instead of splitting the point from the flat, I've decided to do the pastrami as one piece. So it's just going to be the brisket point and flat together. Similar to what I've done in previous videos when I did a hot and fast video for making a brisket and went through trimming the brisket, you can see that video up there for doing a hot and fast brisket and how that worked. So I've trimmed it very similar to that. If you want to look at that video. So I've trimmed it down. So I've trimmed it down nicely now, and the next step of this is to put this into a brine, and it'll sit in the brine for 5 to 6 days, turning it every day. And at the end of that, we'll take it out, give it a really good soak to remove all the salt from the brine, and then we'll put it in the smoker. Take it up to 165 F. We'll wrap it really tightly and then take it to 200, 203 degrees F. Take it out, and then we should have some really tasty 60-day aged pastrami. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this goes. But I think you can see this actually looks quite nice, and I've got another video coming up shortly, which is going to be a 60-day dry aged normally smoked Wagyu brisket. So again, if you want to see that video, look up at the top and you should be able to see a link for it and see what a 60-day dry aged Wagyu brisket looks like as well. Okay, let's get on with this video and let's do the brining process. So this is the brine solution. It's been in the fridge for probably about 3 or 4 hours and cooled it down. It's got everything in there that's needed, the pickling spices and all the salt and sugar and etc. is in there. But again, you can look at that recipe. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the brisket into this brining solution, and it's going to sit in there for 5 or 6 days. So we'll put this into there, and you can see it sits in there really nicely and it's well covered, which is excellent. Let's give it a bit of a stir around. And what we'll do is I'll end up putting a plate on here just to hold it down so it doesn't float. I don't think it's going to float, but we'll probably put a plate on here to hold it down anyway. Turn it over every day, and then we'll come back to this in 5 or 6 days. And fingers crossed, let's see how this goes. So welcome back. We've now gone 6 days since I put the dry aged brisket into the brine, and I turned it over every couple of days in the fridge, and now it's ready to actually put the rub on. What I also did was, once I took it out of the fridge this morning, I put it into a sink, washed it several times, filled it up with water, rubbed it, washed as much salt off as I could, and did that 3 times, cleaned the water 3 times, and it took about an hour and a half to do that. So it tries to take away some of the salt. So what I'm going to do now is I've made up a rub which has got 1/4 cup of coriander, crushed coriander seeds, 1/4 cup of cracked peppercorns, 1 tablespoon of mustard powder, and 1 tablespoon of garlic granules. So I've mixed that together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this rub onto the brisket, and I'm going to use Worcester sauce as a binder to get it on there. You can use anything you want. You can just use water, you can use yellow mustard, you can use Worcester sauce, you can use oil. Whatever you fancy using is okay to use. It doesn't really impart that much flavour, but what it does is it gives it something to stick onto, so for this rub to stick onto. So what I'll do is I'll actually put the rub on, and then the next step is going to be, once the rub's on, I'm going to put it into the Stumps Smoker outside, and I'm going to be cooking it with pecan and cherry wood. And I'm going to cook it reasonably hot today because we're in the middle of winter in Australia, so it's rather short days. So I'm going to cook it at 280 degrees F. I'm going to take it up to about 160, 165 degrees F when the stall happens, wrap it up, double wrap it up nice and tight in foil, and then take it up to 203 degrees F, and then I'll take it out of the smoker. Leave it for an hour or 2 to rest, and then it should be ready to slice. So as I said previously, I don't know how this is going to actually work out because I've not done this before. This is a 60-day aged brisket, and you can really see the colour has changed from when I did it last week, and there was a lot of that red colour in there. It's really changed the colour as the brine's been taken up into there. So I'm expecting when this is smoked that we're going to get that nice red colour when it's sliced again, but I'm unsure about what the flavour's going to be like. So this is a bit of an experiment. It might work, it might not. But what we'll do now is we'll crack on and we'll put on the actual rub. So what I've done is I've actually put the brisket onto a cooling rack again. This just makes it easy for me to take it in and out of the smoker. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to cook this, smoke it point side down. So I'm going to start applying the rub to the point side first, then I'll turn it over so the flat's exposed, and then I'll put it into the barbecue to actually cook. So let's crack on and stick the rub on now. So there you go. So we've got the rub applied now. So as I said, in there was 1/4 cup of crushed coriander, 1/4 cup of cracked black pepper, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder and 1 tablespoon of mustard powder. So that's what's gone into this rub, and this is now ready to put on the smoker at 280 degrees F. So that's it, that's the cook over with. It took around about 5.5 hours to actually cook this brisket at 280. A lot quicker than I expected it to be, ended up at 203. I think maybe because of the dry aging, maybe sped it up, and obviously I'd removed a lot of the pellicle, so there was less meat there. But it went really quick. And it looks delicious, but this is 60-day dry aged Sher Wagyu brisket. So I'm totally unsure how this is going to turn out. I'm extremely nervous. I'm praying and hoping it's going to be okay, but I'm really worried about it as well. So what we'll do is I'll start to slice it and let's have a look, see what it tastes like, and fingers crossed it tastes okay. So let's have a go at slicing it now. I'll just put on a pair of gloves. Okay, so let's start slicing it, see what it looks like. So the colour looks pretty good. Feels like it's slicing nicely, but I'm totally unsure what this is going to taste like. But the colour looks really good. So I'll do one more slice and then let's have a taste and see what 60-day dry aged brisket looks like. So I've left a bit more of a fat cap on this time, which you can see in there. But there's plenty of shine on there. It doesn't feel as though, you know, it pulls apart fairly well. Okay, so let's give this a bit of a try and see what we think of it. So yeah, it's cooked pretty well. Let's have a tastes really nice. I'd say the texture's definitely different to the last time I did the pastrami, when I just did the Sher Wagyu, which was just normal. Still moist, still incredibly flavoursome. I'm not sure I can taste the dry age as much. It really isn't popping, but it still tastes delicious. And the fat that I've left on there, is delicious, it's wonderful. Going to be really interesting to see this other end and see what happens. So it does taste really nice, and I can taste all the flavours of the coriander and the pepper, and I can taste all the pickling spices in there, and they taste wonderful. Maybe I can taste some of the dry aging in there as well. It's a little bit more subtle, definitely a different texture, but still really tender, really juicy, incredibly flavoursome. Would I go to the extremes of doing a 60-day dry aged pastrami? Probably not. I'd probably stick to what I've done in the past, just doing a normal pastrami. I don't know whether I'd actually go 60 days. I might try this 21 days or a 30-day one and see what that tastes like. It tastes really, really nice, don't get me wrong, but I didn't know whether I was expecting an oh wow, or I was expecting, oh, this is terrible. It certainly doesn't taste terrible, it tastes delicious. And if I hadn't probably eaten the other one that I did a couple of weeks ago, I'd probably say this was unbelievable. And it is gorgeous, but I don't think I'd go for the 60 days. And the other thing with the 60 days is you're cutting off a lot of pellicle, so you're really taking away a lot of the meat. And there's a lot of waste in there, and to have that sort of waste, you want the flavour to be something, you know, a next level up, totally different to what you've been eating. This is lovely, but it's not, if the other one was a 10 out of 10, this is maybe an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. And I could sit and eat all of this, to be honest. It is wonderful. But it tastes really nice, but it's not absolutely fantastic. So no, I'd stick with just doing a normal brisket and doing the flat and just doing the normal pastrami in the normal way. I will have a go at trying to do one around about 30 days and 21 days, see if it makes any difference. But it's wonderful, but it's not like a step up, but it is absolutely tasty. So what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to go make a Reuben sandwich. I've already made some Russian sauce, so I've got some Russian sauce in the house, I've got some rye bread in, so I'm going to make a bit of a pastrami sandwich now, which is going to be wonderful and toasted, so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be amazing. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the channel, and please hit that notification bell down in the bottom so you get an email every time a new video comes up. I look forward to seeing you soon on the next video, and hopefully the next one is going to be a 60-day dry aged brisket, which has had nothing done to it, just actually smoked, and that should come out very shortly. So hopefully you see that video. There should be a link for that video as well, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.